Hey everyone, welcome back to Le Mans Ultimate for another intense GT3 sprint race. We've got a whopping 34 cars out on track here at Interlagos today, and I'm starting from P13, so I could challenge for a top 10 here. Now Interlagos is a track I find really challenging, and to make things even harder, I'm going to suffer some PC performance issues in the early going here that threaten to ruin my race completely. Can I get through it? Can I get that top 10 finish? Well, let's get on track and find out.
Green flag.
Here we go then, we're underway, starting from P13, but with a big gap opened up in front of me. That's because Daniel Kraskowski, the P11 driver in the McLaren, has decided to start from pit lane. I've got a Mercedes on my inside going into turn 1. That's Daniel Sushko getting past, and now I'm 3 wide. Things are getting really tight. Pablo Mira on my inside, Javier Alonso to my outside. Oh, big screen stutters as well, and I've been hit from behind. I think I was hit by the BMW of Javier Alonso. Well, just about managed to keep it facing in the right direction via a detour on the grass, and that is going to cost me a bunch of positions. I'm down into P18. Well, my FPS seemed a little sluggish all the way down that start-finish straight, but when we got into the first few turns, it really began to stutter, and I don't know whether that caused the incident. Did I cut anyone up there? We'll have to go back and check out the replay shortly, but for now, let's stick with the live action because I'm right on the tail of Ignacio Diaz in the BMW. But yeah, P18, so a drop of 5 positions from where I started. Not a great start at all, but there's carnage here. Cars off to both the left and right, so that is 2 positions back straight away, and more mischief right in front of me there. A big hit between 2 cars. I managed to react in the nick of time and get around it safely, so I do now find myself back up into P14. I've got a Ford Mustang leaning on me through turn 10 there. That is Eddie Josic. Josic will have the inside for T11 here unless I can get there first, and I do just about manage to hold on to this P14. Yeah, Frantic opening lap here at Interlagos. I've got a much better line through turn 12 there than Diaz in the BMW in front. That is an opportunity to snatch P13, so I am going to end this first lap where I started it. Incredible stuff. Let's go back and check out a replay to see exactly what happened at this first corner. Now, I'm really worried that my screen stutters distracted me and caused me to squeeze the BMW of Javier Alonso out. Now that's me in the middle, 3 wide, Pablo Mira to my right, Alonso to my left. Oh, and Alonso is coming back from way off track there. So that explains why I didn't see him. It wasn't anything to do with my technical difficulties. That BMW ran wide coming down the hill, rejoined the track, but right into the path where I already was. And yeah, this incident actually came quite a few casualties, so I was really lucky to get away relatively unscathed. We're riding on board with Alonso now. He's having a look up the inside of me into T1, then runs really wide coming down the hill. He's going to follow the car in front of him that also went wide, rejoined at exactly the same place. The car in front was lucky there was no one there. Alonso wasn't so lucky. I was there. And then it all kicked off at turn 8. This is the battle for P6. Ned N in the Porsche getting spun around by Sagar Hiramouth behind him. And that caused a chain reaction of accidents, starting with Eddie Josic in the Ford Mustang. Josic thought he'd got around, but as he gets on the gas, the rear gets a bit squirrely and he loses control. And look at the carnage behind him. A McLaren spinning out, another BMW spinning out. There's more contact, and that is me safely going wide around the outside. So yeah, what a bonkers opening lap that was. I surrendered 5 positions due to those shenanigans in the first couple of corners, but by the end of the lap, I'd gained all 5 positions back. So it is as you were as we return to live action halfway around lap 2. I'm in a comfortable P13 now. There's a gap of 2.5 seconds back to Emilio Torres in P14, and I'm right on the tail of MS Richard in that Porsche in front of me. So yeah, as long as I can stay in touch with this pack of cars in front of me, I am very much in contention for a top 10 finish here. We've still got 17 minutes left on the clock, and I'm relatively unscathed from those first lap shenanigans. I am carrying a little bit of rear damage from the contact with Alonso in turn 2, but other than that, the car is handling pretty well, so I feel confident that I can challenge at least for P11, the 2 cars right in front of me now. That's Richard and Nathan Rochelle, both within 1 second of me as we come out of turn 12 and onto the home straight. Well, I've got to admit, I'm really struggling with the GT3 class in LMU today. It's a symptom of switching between Le Mans Ultimate and ACC. My last race was in Assetto Corsa Competizione, and of course the two sims have a completely different feel about them, so I'm having to relearn all my muscle memory for LMU. But enough about that, because I'm applying all sorts of pressure on Richard now. He moved to take that defensive line on the approach to T1, so I switched out to go wide. Hopefully I'll get a better line through this section and be able to attack again down this back straight, but I don't think I've done it smoothly enough. I'm not quite close enough to launch an attack on Richard. 0.3 of a second is the gap. I will close in, but I won't be close enough to make a move into this upcoming left-hander. Right, let's jump forward to the end of the lap, because I've stayed right on the tail of Richard throughout that lap. There's not really many overtaking opportunities through the tight and twisty middle section, but now is my chance to attack. However, Richard once again is taking the defensive line down the start-finish straight. He's going to have the inside line for T1, so once again I'm going as wide as I possibly can to try and get the corner squared off early. I've got my line a lot better this time. This is an opportunity to an attack. A much quicker exit in the corner. I do have to lift ever so slightly just to help get the car rotated and avoid running off track. But yeah, this is the moment. This is my opportunity to try and snatch that P12. We're side by side, but I'm just a bit too cautious on the brakes. The yellow flags are out. That is a back marker though. We're not going to gain a position from that. But yeah, I do feel that was an opportunity wasted. I perhaps should have been a touch more aggressive going into that corner. I was side by side with Richard. I'd earned the right to take that apex. But then I was just a touch too overcautious on the brakes, braking a little bit too early. That gave Richard the advantage back, and he was able to shut the door and keep hold of the position. But I'm continuing to apply pressure here. If I get another opportunity, I am going to try and be a bit more ruthless. However, I doubt very much that any of those opportunities are going to present themselves through this middle section of the track, so it's important that I just stay as close as I possibly can to the rear of that Porsche. Hopefully I can be close enough down the start-finish straight to launch another attack. At the moment it doesn't look like I am close enough though, 0.5 of a second. However, I do get a much better line through that turn 12. I will close in coming up over the brow of the hill, 0.2 of a second now. I'm going to pick up a bit of toe. Now we know Richard likes to defend going into turn 1, so I'm going to make my move early here. I'm going to get alongside him so he can't move to the defensive line, and it looks like it's going to work. I've got a car's length in front, and this is where I've got to hold my nerve. I've got to get my elbows out. I've got to block the apex. I can't let Richard pass, and I do get the job done. That is me up into P12. Really happy with that pass. It was about 3 laps in the making. And yeah, fair play to Richard. He really made me work hard for that position. Great battling here at Interlagos. So lap 5 then, I'm up into P12, and can I make that P11, because I've closed right in on Nathan Ruchel in the Mercedes. Meanwhile, in the rear-view mirror, Richard is now 1 second behind. I've certainly got the pace to make a break from Richard. However, if I then get caught up in a battle for P11 with Rochelle, that will undo all my advantage. That will allow Richard to rejoin the battle. We could find ourselves in a 3-way tussle for this P11. However, I really want to get the job done quickly here. I certainly don't want it to take 3 laps like it did with my last overtake, so it could be a carbon copy, and I'm certainly going to get an advantage climbing up the hill, because Rochelle was out on the grass there. That is going to severely impede his speed down this start-finish straight. And yeah, once again I find myself side by side, but with the pace advantage, so I should get the job done here. I should be up into P11. Once again, I've got to get my elbows out. I've got to defend this inside line and make sure he doesn't snap back. That's exactly what I've done. I am a bit wide. This is going to be a bumpy route over the curbs. Thankfully, I've managed to hold on to it. It wasn't pretty, but it got the job done. I'm up into P11. Well, we're now going to jump forward to the end of this 6th lap, and you can see just how much quicker I am than both those drivers behind me. Now I've got a clear track, I'm able to make a quick break for it. Rochelle is now 1.5 seconds behind. Richard, more than 2 seconds behind. And as we come down the hill, the yellow flags are out. There's a BMW parked up to the right, and that is Jacob Kornacki. Kornacki was running in P8, so that has put me up into the top 10. Yeah, Kornacki was running in P8, but he was under all sorts of pressure from LT Gaming in the twin BMW right behind him. Now that's Kornacki on the inside. He just takes too much of that raised curb. That's exactly what I did a couple of laps ago, so I was really lucky not to end up in the barrier like Kornacki there. Okay, we're returning to the live action at 3/4 race distance because it's taken me this long to close in on the Mercedes in front of me. That is Chico Di Balea in P9. I'm now just 0.3 of a second behind, and just as I'm planning my next assault, look at Di Balea there. He lifts, he gifts me the position. Now, I don't quite know why. Either he's running low on fuel or he's racing for safety rating and he didn't fancy a flare-up. So taking P9 was far easier than I expected it to be. Can I get P8? Well, LT Gaming is 2 seconds in front at the moment. We've got 5 minutes left on the clock. Can I close in? Well, the answer is an emphatic yes. Yes, I can close in. We've jumped forward now to lap 12. We've got this lap and one more after it, and I'm now within 0.5 of a second of LT Gaming. And not only have I closed in on P8, I've also closed in on the battle for P6. Look how close things are now. Carlo Cadetto currently holding that 6th position. Daniel Sushko, P7. Gaming in 8th, me in 9th, and all 4 of us separated by less than 1.5 seconds. We could be setting up for a grandstand finish here at Interlagos. Now, even if I can't get past LT or either of the other drivers in front of me, there is every chance that this battle could end in tears. So I want to keep myself as close as I possibly can here. 1, to try and make an attack myself, but 2, to pick up the pieces if anything goes wrong. Out of turn 12 then for the penultimate time. I was much smoother out of that corner than LT was in front, and as a result I've got far more exit speed. Can I use that to my advantage here, or is LT going to defend the inside line? Well, I'm not sure which way it's going to go at the moment. I do switch to the inside. I just don't think I'm quite quick enough to pull alongside him. 1 lap to go here at Interlagos. What can we do? Oh, and Sushko was really deep into that first corner there. The Mercedes missing the apex completely. That is going to give LT the chance to attack. It might give me a chance to attack too. I've got it absolutely pinned through that 3rd corner. LT up onto the curb there. That unsettled him a little bit. I do move to the inside just to think about having a look. It looked like LT had the same idea, so I back out of that one. I didn't want us to go 3 wide there. LT taking too much of the curb on the inside this time. I did try to carry enough speed to get alongside him around the outside so I could have the inside for this upcoming right-hander, but I just didn't quite have the speed. So instead I've got to tuck right in behind the BMW. We've got half a lap to go here. This could go anywhere. If I was a betting man, I'd say that Carlo Cadetto may have that P6 sewn up. He's got a 1 second advantage now, but P7 is anybody's. Realistically, I think my one and only chance to snatch a position is going to be a drag race to the line, so it's important I stay as close as I possibly can. And just as I say that, I take too much of the race curb on the inside myself. The rear comes around. I managed to rescue it, but that is it. And yeah, that's a real shame because I'm so much smoother than the cars in front of me through this turn 12 here. If I'd been a bit closer, I could have launched an attack down this start-finish straight, but ultimately that mistake proved costly. I'm now 1.5 seconds adrift, and I'm going to have to settle for P9. I'm certainly not going to grumble with that, though. I've been given car number 29 in this race, so even a top 20 finish would have been impressive. But a top 10, yeah, I will take that all day long. Here are the classified results then, and yeah, look at my fastest lap, a 1:36.5. I was quicker than all 3 of the drivers in front of me. Had I not got tangled up in those first corner shenanigans, I may well have been challenging for P6 here. As it is, I'm going to settle for P9. So yeah, really hard work today, not only because it's Interlagos, a track that I've always struggled with, but also from what I said during the race about switching from LMU to ACC and then back again. I've really struggled adjusting to each sim. But having said that though, it hasn't impeded the quality of racing at all. Today was an absolute banger. Thoroughly enjoyed it. I hope you did too, and I'll see you again soon. Cheers for now.